Time to fuel up the boat. We checked prices today on the Waterway Guide. We want to make sure we have the best price that we can when we're fueling up on board.
Come with us as we fuel up our Jeanneau Merryfisher 1095 Sweetest Thing at the Oasis Fernandina Harbor Marina in downtown Fernandina Beach. We're going to pull up and fuel up. Come with us as we do it. Here's the 5 steps we go through when we're fueling up our boat. We know we've used about 161 gallons. We can check that on our fuel gauge on the Yamaha controller. But before we leave the dock, we always check our logbook so we know how much fuel we've used, how much we have. We log each time so when we get on the boat, we know how much fuel we have and can estimate the distance that we have. Our Jeanneau Merryfisher 1095 is a gasoline for propulsion and it has diesel for the generator. And we're gonna pump out the Blackwater tank. Today when I did my boat check, the fuse was burnt out, so I don't know exactly how full it is. We love overnight trips. We want to be ready to go kind of anytime. If we have an overnight where we can go to our favorite spot, Brick Hill River, check out the video after you watch this one if you want to see a cool overnight place. So we want to make sure we have our fuel full, about 160 gallons of gas. We want to make sure our diesel's fuel, about 6 gallons, so that our generator can run if we need heat or cold. And finally, we want to empty the Blackwater tank. I think it's about halfway full, based on the use that we have, but because the gauge isn't working, I'd hate to be wrong. A key to using your boat is having it ready to go for the next time. So when you leave it, have it ready to go for your next trip. The 5 steps prepping for fueling are pretty straightforward, and they're the same whether it's gas or a diesel boat. Step 1 is pretty straightforward. You want to know if it's gas or diesel. Today, in our case, we're going to be getting gas, filling up 161 gallons, and we're going to be getting diesel, so our generator's set. Step 2 is know where the fuel goes. We have 5 receptacles on our boat where you could put a fluid and open a cap. You want to make sure you're putting the gasoline in the right place. On our starboard gangway, we have a Blackwater tank that has a cap with a black seal around it, a freshwater tank that has a cap with a blue seal around it, and then on our transom, we have the diesel, which has a red seal around it. Those ones, avoid the gas, it'd be terrible for your boat. Our fuel fills are on the aft on either side, so there's 2 independent tanks, and you want to make sure you're putting the gas in the right place. We want to make sure we put the diesel in the right place, and we want to make sure we pump out from the right tank. Step 3 is prep the boat for fueling. It's pretty straightforward. You want to get to the dock, listen to the dock hands, go where they tell you, so the location in the marina, and also if they suggest port or starboard to the dock, they generally have a sense of their marina and what works best, so it's a good idea to listen to them. You want to secure your boat so you're in place, and then turn off your engines and open the fuel caps. Step 4 is fueling up. You want to pay attention because you don't want fuel to go all over the place. There's not an easy gas gauge to read, and it can come out fast enough that it can backsplash, so you want to make sure you're paying attention when you're fueling. On our gas boat, I will always ease into the gasoline because you don't know how fast different pumps are going to be in different marinas. You always want to have some kind of absorbent towel or paper towel with you so you can move the fuel nozzle between the tanks, and if there's any dribbling, you make sure you can clean it up. Step 5 is just finish your fueling. Make sure you shut the caps, make sure you pay, and view that paying for fuel as a sign that you're using a boat and it's a positive, not a negative. That's the story I tell myself every time. Come with us as we fuel up our Jeanneau Merryfisher 1095 Sweetest Thing. Coming up to the marina, we're gonna hail them. Quick tip of the day when it comes to using your VHF, remember to put on high-low, you wanna put it down on 1 watt so that you're not hailing everyone around when you're going to the marina. Turn down the power so that you're just talking to people local. Fernandina Harbor Marina, Fernandina Harbor Marina, Fernandina Harbor Marina, Sweetest Thing.
Fernandina Harbor Marina, switching channel 6-8.
Sweetest Thing, switching 6-8.
Marina, go ahead, Ken.
I'd like to come in to fuel up on gasoline, get a couple gallons of diesel, and pump out.
Okay, yep, roger that. Just go ahead and pull it right in front of our white fuel shed. Are you coming from the north or the south?
I am coming from the south. Do you recommend port or starboard too?
Either one. Looks like the current is going out just a little bit, but it might just switch, so whatever you like. If you're coming from the south, though, starboard might fine.
Starboard side it'll be. Thank you. See you in about 2 minutes. Sweetest Thing standing by 1-6 out. Starboard side 2, which is really easier for me. It's how I have everything set up. So I'm going to just throw out my fenders, have my lines ready for them to give me a hand. I'm going to turn on the bow thruster because we have it, and go dock. I'm gonna turn off my collision alarm as we're coming in because there's lots of boats, but it's a sign that our AIS is working. On our Garmin, we normally have the nav chart and the radar overlay. That's what we have as we're with our base when we're running. If the alarm is going off in this setting, you hit options, then you hit other vessels, then you click on collision alarm, and you can turn off the collision alarm. Just turn it off, not always off. Next time the boat is restarted, it will turn back on. Oasis Fernandina Harbor Marina is not our home marina. We're at Amelia Island Marina down by the bridge. If I was coming in as a transient overnight, I would stay at the downtown marina. It's a great location. The amenities are right by it. It's a nice marina, but it's also right accessible to downtown. If you're coming down to Fernandina Beach, check out the Oasis Fernandina Harbor Marina for your overnight stay because it's a really pretty marina. When fueling our boat, we have 2 fuel tanks, one on the port, one on the starboard. Each one holds about 106 gallons. When you fuel it, you pop it open to fuel it and then let it fuel completely. You do each side. You always want to calculate about half of what you're going to fill so you don't overflow a tank. Listen for it. Make sure you're in that range, particularly when you're getting close to that fuel level that you started with. I'm going to insert. You start on the outside always first. Ease into pumping the fuel when you first start so that it doesn't overflow. You don't want it to spit out. And you're going to be able to, if you can, see the pump so you can keep track of how much fuel's gone in so you can stop and know when you really want to start focusing. Once you get close, you start just listening to make sure you don't overfill. You don't want to get too close to it. Once you start hearing any sound, you just stop it. And always use a rag when taking it off. Thank you. Always dock where the dock attendant tells you. Final step that I have too often forgotten is make sure you shut the fuel cover because I've more than once left it open. Switching to the diesel on the transom, it has the red cap, and we use the key to open this fill for the diesel tank. It's got the red for the diesel, blue for the water, black for the pump out. On the diesel in particular, you want to go really slow because this is a teeny tank. I can almost see it, but I almost never go all the way because it's 6 gallons. It just pop right out if we have any fuel in it. Gotten our gasoline fueled up on the big tank. Small tank, never pulled the pump all the way to get the diesel. You can hear it coming right up, but I couldn't really film that one-handed. And now we go to the starboard side. We want to get to the Blackwater tank. See here, it's blue on the outside. And that's black on the outside. So Blackwater tank. Is the pump on? The pump out is basically a crapped vacuum. So whatever's in your tank, it's gonna get sucked out. And I always make sure I have my sink ready to wash my hands. I should have gloves. I didn't have any with me. You'll see most of the time there's a glass window where you can see this in. So you open up the Blackwater tank, you put the hose in, you want to hold it down, and then you open the valve and it starts sucking. You can see it's sucking what's in there. I think I'm only half full, but because the gauge wasn't working and we want to go on a trip in a week, I wanted to make sure we were cleaned out. A key tip on pumping out, you don't want to lift this off without shutting off the valve because that can be a mess. You can see that it's still sucking some, but you're really just vacuuming out from the top what's in the tank. So there's always some that's going to stay in no matter what you do. At the Oasis Fernandina Harbor Marina, the pump out's $5. It's flat fee, doesn't matter the size of the boat. Good habit to get in to clean it out, particularly for the ICW. It's a good place to do it. They have an easy dock to come up to, good place to get fuel. And we checked the Waterway app, was the cheapest gas in the area as well. When you're done, shut off with the valve perpendicular to the deck. There's gonna be some dribbles when this comes off, so we can get the rag. Get the end, get it over the side. Put it in. Awesome, thank you. You immediately go inside and wash your hands before you touch your camera. It's not the top of the cap that's color coded, it's the seal around the edge. So the Blackwater is forward on the 1095. The blue freshwater is aft on the starboard side. All the way aft on the transom is the diesel. Our fuel burned on the Yamaha display was about 161 gallons. We put in 165.23. Cost was $753.28. There can be more fuel that you put in. One, because it could evaporate. Two, because the last time you filled up, you didn't go all the way, and you don't want to overflow your fuel tank, so you want to stop a little bit early. So we put in 165. Fuel tank was reading 161. Should be good. We are fueled up for the next 180, 190 miles to go tool around. It is a gorgeous day to get on the water. You want to fill out your logbook so you have the total gallons, the engine hours when you fueled, and you zero out, go to trip, and reset all. So we want to reset the info to 0 so that distance and fuel used is zeroed out before we leave the dock, before we start the engines. And then we go back. So we're zeroed out on everything for the trip, and then we get underway. We're slack tied, which almost never happens. So I just gave a little push to the bow, untied the stern, and we're off. Thanks for watching us fuel up our Jeanneau Mary Fisher 1095. If you want to check out some of our other videos on boat ownership and boat maintenance, we have some playlists here. Check them out. If you like the content, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends. Until next time, get smarter, be safe, keep living the dream.